Stars, and a seasoned one, and she doesn't look very seasoned, but we're hopefully going to hear from Michelle if we have time today. But we are finishing up our previous Stars class with Megan. You can come on up, Megan Hawks. So she's going to, and then we have Caleb is going to be next, that he actually is from our Stars class that just graduated last Monday. And so they did, their project was Habitat for Humanity, and they had so many awesome volunteers and so many things. Eric, did you say you guys were done in 2 hours? And they painted everything, and it was awesome. So we are very, very blessed with some great people that are coming into our club. So we're going to turn it over to Megan.
Good afternoon. So I'm Megan Hawks, and this is my husband, Bob. We moved here a little over a year ago, about a year and a half, most recently from Nashville. We have 2 daughters together, and one of them lives currently in Tampa, and another one has stayed behind with a chunk of my heart in Nashville. And I'm going to see if I can master this. There we go. So, if you're seeing this picture right now, you probably have a good idea of what decade it was taken in. And I'm going to clarify, it was the 60s. This is my mom, which tells you pretty much everything you need to know about what doctors said to parents at that time. Smoke because you'll lose weight. Obviously, I didn't take that on myself. But I was born in the 60s in Detroit. My parents loved Florida, and my father especially hated snow. He hated cold weather. I learned actually at his funeral that, and this is a terrible way to learn this, but I learned that he would stand at the picture window before I was born when we lived in Detroit and point at every single snowflake and curse it. So as soon as we could, I suppose, by the time I was 5 years old, we had moved to Florida. And I grew up in Florida, typically with a bathing suit and bare feet, because when you live in South Florida as a little kid, what else do you need? So I spent my summers growing itch-thick calluses and playing outside. I was definitely a tomboy. I was usually in a tree reading a book, or in a tree and reading a book. And that was pretty much how I lived at that age. But I was also an early adopter of nerdiness. And I own it. So along with this is my favorite picture of Christmas's past, where I am eagerly opening my best present ever, which was a TI calculator, TI 3500. And it was amazing, just the size of a brick. And it would add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And even cooler than that, okay? So for the nerdy, introverted self that I was, and maybe still am, it would actually provide that nerdy 4th grade kid with the ultimate in pickup lines. Because if you plugged in certain numbers, you could talk to the kid that you had a crush on next to you and bothered him incessantly. And I did. Thank you, Texas Instruments, but that was not the love of my life. That's okay. I finished high school in South Florida, went on to college. Locally, went to college, go FAU, Fighting Owls. No? Okay. And before I had even graduated, we had our large family mostly lived in Florida. Before I had even graduated, I was invited to be part of a management trainee program with a Fortune 100 company, and began a career in leadership while I worked school on the sides for years. And during that time, I absolutely had no pictures taken of me, which is okay. I'm pretty sure there were no pictures. Well, there might have been a few, but they were full of poor and questionable wardrobe choices. And also an ex-husband. So in this picture, you might see a stray arm. Just ignore the stray arm. It really isn't actually anyone that we need to know about. So, but for me, the 80s flew by in a blur of questionable life choices, wardrobe choices. And my large family was there to celebrate every minute of it. And we got together quite a bit. As this time went by, we were separated by 17 years. So my oldest brothers and sisters were long gone from the house by the time I was aware. But a couple years after this picture, I met the love of my life. And you might recognize him. Yeah, it's not the dog. 28 years later, the marriage is still alive, the dog is not. But anyway, so we began a new chapter that has bare feet, no surprise, in a perfect February day when the porpoises were rolling, and oh my gosh, my anniversary is next week, okay. So, this is just a little picture of how we look. But if you want a comparison, because I know you were thinking about it, this is what 30 years of being married to this gal will do to you, just in case you remember. So, soon after that, along came this one, and she became a new love of our lives. And then shortly, this one became our Irish twins. This was a time when, and like most parents, I was evaluating where I was, especially most working women saying, gosh, okay, I've been working 70 hours a week and I really want to be with these beautiful babies. How do I make that happen? I think by this time I had pulled down to about, 45, 50 hours a week with two little itty bitty ones at home that had learned to beat up on each other before they had learned to walk, I think, and still do that very well. But it was time to make a decision, and that decision came to a head when this one, my oldest daughter, Amanda, suddenly woke me up. Well, actually, she didn't wake me up in the middle of the night. The sound of her crib woke me up. She was having a grand mal seizure. And it was the first of what would later be many. After 45 minutes of a seizure that would not break and a hospital trip. And the doctors finally saying, we kind of think it's going to be okay. Try not to worry. They sent us home, where, of course, in fact, we did worry. And we continued to worry until her next one did happen. And the one after that. And the one after that. And soon we became we found ourselves on this journey of ISTs. You know, ISTs are neurologists, specialists, physical therapists, oncologists. I mean, every IST there is, cardiologists, let's name them all, but they're there, and we went to see every one of them. But this time we were living in Orlando. And we had wonderful doctors nearby, but her condition became identified as fairly rare. She actually had been born without a big section of her brain. And I still don't take offense when people call me or anyone else brainless. And listen, it's real. It's a real thing. Sometimes people can be born without part of their brain, as she was. The challenge with this is that part of her, that meant she was trying to rewire all the time. Her brain, which was trying to remap all the time, which ended up causing scar tissue. And the scar tissue ended up causing more seizures. So, along with being diagnosed with autism and mild cerebral palsy and low-grade heart valve defect and, of course, this life-threatening epilepsy, everything kind of was coming to a definite head, and we decided that it was time to be focused, for real. And so I took a job with a nonprofit that allowed me to work from home, take her to specialists during the day, and at night, frankly, I worked usually with my chair pulled up close to her bed so I could listen for her breathing, because it was that scary. But by 8th grade, she had been on nearly every kind of medication that there was for seizures, and she was experiencing grand mals weekly. So we would put her on the bus in the morning and not know if we'd be there, if we would pick her up off that bus at the end of the school day, or if we would meet her in the hospital. And frankly, there were times we weren't sure if we would be lucky enough to meet her in the hospital. It was a very scary time. But during that time, we also moved to Nashville, and we were fortunate enough to move close to Vanderbilt University, which is one of the best pediatric neurologist centers in the country for her particular type of disorder. And we began this journey then, once we moved there, of learning whether or not she'd be a candidate for surgery. Brain surgery is scary. And the tests that they go through in preparation, especially for a child, are not done lightly. Our process became years and years and years of tests and hospitals and tests and hospitals. During that time, my other daughter, Heather, was also tested for leukemia, which was one of those moments where I thought, okay, God, really? But fortunately, thankfully, she was negative. And so our journey continued with this one until she was 15. And it took that long. It took 4 years, actually, from the time they identified her as a candidate to put her into the surgery. It was 8-hour surgery, which was 10 years ago this week. We gathered with friends and family and people from our church and watched and wondered who we would meet when the doors opened and they let us come see her, because personality was, she really did risk having a personality completely change since this was her temporal lobe that was being removed, greater personality, higher reason, higher ability to have relationships lives, according to doctors. So, a day after surgery, we waited. And then weeks later, when we had brought her home, taught her to walk again, taught her to chew, taught her to swallow without choking, paraded and walked and walked and walked through Publix with her service dog over and over because the roads were too slippery to walk outside, and learned every Publix person by name. She returned to school just a couple months later, still on track, having not missed an assignment. Amazing kid who perseveres. Today, she struggles. She still is autistic. She's on the spectrum. She's got life issues, and she still is at high risk for seizures, and she's had a few over the years, but she has her life back, and that's amazing. So just like that, the circus of our life continued. And I love this picture because it is our circus. And by the way, I said he's the love of my life, the big guy, but see that little one in the middle? Yeah, it's a close second. That's Wally. So I went back to work when Amanda went back to work after I'd taken an extended leave of absence. And my position changed dramatically. All of a sudden, I found myself on the road about 100 days a year. And it was wonderful and also a little exhausting, because it used to be that when you were in an airplane and they got to 10,000 feet, you had no cell phone, you had no communication, and that was a mixed bag for me. It was the only time when I could actually know that I was not on duty. But during those couple of years, I traveled to Morocco, Japan, Korea, South Africa. I love the penguin, even though you can't really tell South Africa. That's South Africa. And had ended up with working in New York over the last couple of years. Full-time commuting home to Tennessee on the weekends. It was busy. It was real busy. And we liked that. I liked that. I loved the travel. But meanwhile, our kids were growing. And our closeness was staying tight. But we were also celebrating our empty nest syndrome as they went away to college. So remember all those things that you told your kids not to do? Don't touch that dog while you're eating dinner, as we became empty nesters. Those went out the window, obviously, and this is Wally, and Bob, during dinner, yeah. So life became a little bit more focused about living and refocusing on the things that matter to us. We bought motorcycles. We traveled all around the Southeast on our motorcycles, which my mother hated, because you're still always going to be your mother's child. So after some years went by, we ended up having 3 graduations within 2 years from these 2 girls, one with a BA, one with a BS, and one with a master's, in very quick succession, which we celebrate, not just because we're proud of them, but because we got them off the payroll. And we can live with that. So, mostly, except that Amanda ended up moving down with us to Florida, and is now finishing her last degree as she works into her future. And then one day, this lady called me. Isn't she sweet? She's sweet, come on. No, she's not sweet. She's my mother. She's not sweet, I promise you. Don't let her fool you. My beloved mom, who I adore, called me at 91 years of age and said, honey, I found a lump. And by the way, this is her 3rd go around with cancer. And I thought, wow, okay, so I'll stop phoning in those monthly exams, first of all, and okay, I think we need to move home. So we packed our bags and our 3 dogs and one of our children who had moved back home and all of our stuff and moved back to town. But this time we moved back to Lakeland, and we love it here. And today, just a little over a year later, Mom is doing extraordinarily well, having blown through breast cancer surgery and subsequent radiation. She's still living independently and is amazing, and refuses to stop driving. I'm sorry, I'm really trying. Don't drive in Del Rico. But she is wonderful and doing well and very, very healthy. Meanwhile, Bob and I continue to run on this next step of our future. Today, we're here and enjoying Florida again with our daughter, the one that we've left behind, wonderful Wally, of course. Bob doesn't mind the seafood and the availability of the shrimp from the coast. you know, that's kind of his thing. You can see his face peering over the gigantic pile of shrimp there. But we live here, and this is home, and we're glad to call this home. We've opened a business. Our company is called Donor Perspective. We help nonprofits here within Central Florida, and within a day's drive, because I don't ever want to do 100 days on the road again. Within a day's drive from here, we help nonprofits raise money to support their causes and their missions. And I'm still very much a nerd, and I cherish that. So lots of data words in my personal word cloud. If you've never done a word cloud, take your last 10 emails, copy them, and drop them into a program online, and see the words that come up. It's called a word cloud program. You'll learn a little bit about yourself. And for me, the word data came up a lot, affirming my love for TI 3500s. Today, I'm a self-appointed keeper of bizarre phrases, I think, and wise sayings. Let's call them wise sayings. One of my wise sayings, philosophically and literally, is that one should never let their coffee grow cold or their beer grow warm. And I hope that you have a personal saying that you've adopted as well, because life is very full of long, long days, but very, very short years. I'm grateful to serve here in Lakeland with you, fellow Rotarians. Thank you.
Next is Caleb Bloodworth, and he comes up from SEU. And tell me your sponsor, or you can tell them. Ed Fosto. So we have a lot of great colleges here in Lakeland, and I think it's awesome that they're joining Rotary. So welcome, Caleb.
Hi guys, and welcome. I'm going to make this very, very quick. I'm going to try to keep it in right under 5 minutes because I see the time. Luckily, as you guys can tell, I'm a little bit on the young side. I have to be 34 years old. Born and raised here in Lakeland. Left for a long time, planned on never coming back. That very much changed. I'm very, very lucky to be back here. Local boy, love these teams. Besides Southeastern, most of them probably will never win anything. Because we decided to sell off everybody, but yeah, this is who I am. You guys can find out more about me. Email me anytime, but I'm an assistant professor of finance, specializing in economics, healthcare, and international business. I've had a crazy life. Very thankful to have my parents here today. But to be honest, without them, I would not be here in front of you guys. And you guys will hear very quick a little bit about that. I tried to put a ton of pictures in here because pictures are worth 1,000 words. So instead of using 50,000 words, I'm going to just use like 25 pictures. All right, so this is my family, crazy big. We have a get-together in Germany. My mom is actually from a Baroness line from Germany, being actually born there. My father on the opposite side actually grew up at Florida Baptist Children's Home as an orphan. So very distinct difference, but came together, and very glad they did. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. They get together every 2 years. This was a 250th reunion. That means over 500 years they've been getting together and have a crazy family history and lineage going all the way back through that. Pictures of me, born and raised here, went to Lake Gibson High School, played football there. Favorite place to be is definitely the Keys. I played rugby, wakeboard, skydiving, kind of crazy in everything. That is my young brother in the middle. At a hockey game for his birthday, I got him first row seats. Best place to be, behind the penalty box, so we had a blast. And my dog Gilligan that I kind of grew up with, who recently passed away, but now I have a little girl version of him. So I've lived a lot of places all over the world, done a lot of traveling. Lived down in the Caribbean after leaving Lakeland. I went to the University of Florida, to be very clear. That one was the one that is the number one. That's where I went. Did sailing. I went snowboarding, scuba diving. All over the place. One of my favorite things is work like a captain but play like the Pirates. All right. University of Florida, I've been on ESPN, yeah, just in the stands, but yeah, still top. University of Florida down here, we won a lot of things. I went during the best years, 2003 through 2009. Did the 5-year program, we'll explain why that is. But ultimately, it was a great time to be there, not so much since then. While I was there, on my 21st birthday, like many of you guys all had a special drink or something special on your very first day. My very first day, April 25th, 2006, when I turned 21, I was rushed into the emergency room. I had a port put in my chest, got put on an ambulance, went to Moffitt, and started chemotherapy. We had found out that basically I was a 1% of a 1% of a 1%, that I had dislocated my shoulder, tore part of that area, ended up having lymphoma, and had a lymph node that was larger than the size of a softball. Unbeknownst to physics, after tearing a piece of paper, taping it back together, 2 years later I retore it, and instead of it tearing in that same place, it somehow tore just a centimeter below that, dislocating that nodule, but not actually tearing it open. If it would have torn open, I would have been dead within about 3 months. And 100% miracle, no matter way, how you want to look at it. I'm still here because of the fact of 1 centimeter difference when that paper should have tore on a line that had already been torn. I've been able to travel, been to Guatemala, Honduras, tons of places. I've worked for about a week and a half, got to play around with Aeromed over in Tampa. Lived down in the Caribbean, went to St. George's University for medicine, finished up in Grand Cayman, beautiful place, worked over at Lakeland Regional in the ER and trauma for a while, got to do some different specialties with neuros and stuff like that, and this is my family up there in the corner. Great time of my life. But while I was up there, got to go down to Kenya for a medical relief project. Met my girlfriend, the giraffe over there, beautiful woman. Had a great time, went to the FBI Academy with one of my friends that graduated from there. We're flying doctorate program, saw elephants, did all this crazy stuff. But while I was down there, we ended up finding out that I did not have any vaccines. This is a crazy thing, especially working at Lakeland Regional. Anybody here from Lakeland Regional, do not take this personal, we'll be very clear with this. But I worked there, got every vaccine you can imagine. Somehow when I went to go down there, CDC said, no, you have no vaccines. And I said, well, either you're wrong or Lakeland Regional has a very big issue about happening here. Come to find out, we ended up having a specialist from Italy that actually figured this out after a number of years. Due to the chemotherapy that I had, I now had a weird condition that I did not make any antibodies or hold any vaccines for greater than about 3 weeks. Wow. So I had to fly back to either the US or Germany every 3 weeks to get an IV bag made of basically 500 people of you guys that donate blood. And I still do this. I'll be doing this for the rest of my life because if your car battery's been dead for 6 years, that car is never going to start again. And if I get a bone marrow transplant, the life instead of working, I'm going to have an infection. It's pretty nice. So I can write it back and it's pretty good. Loved it there. Been there a couple of times. Now we're with a nonprofit called Take Heart, just in the bottom corner. I'll mention about them. Got married just over a year and a half ago. Love my life. Marissa, yes, it's only been a year and a half, so it's hard to say that. But she is everything I could ever imagine and more than I could plan. We got married over at Grace City. We go to Grace City into Victory Church on the south side. You can see me up there with some of my best friends, showing them my ring and having a good fun time. And our wedding. The picture with us cutting a log, old German tradition, it's about getting over adversity. So your family helps cut all of it. You get to the very last part, and you cut it with your spouse. And so we did cut it, and we did succeed in actually getting that log cut. All right. Finally, after all this, I really was, what am I going to do with Affordable Care Act and everything that went through it? Great things, but all research and residency does go through that. There's no way I could do residency if I worked in a hospital and I carried a virus or anything like that. I did not have any reactions. I have an immune system of a child. And I got your grandfather sick, you sick, anyone else sick, you have every right to sue that hospital for that problem. So that was not going to happen, but luckily, by the grace of God, due to my chemotherapy, I did not graduate with just pre-med, but I actually graduated with a bachelor's in business. Not just in business, but in finance, and not just in finance because I'm a nerd. I got multiple minors in entrepreneurship, healthcare administration, and health sciences. I also had 1 year off, again, God's graces, but the woman that I was engaged to, that fell apart. It was a big, crazy ordeal. But because of that, I had 1 year off before going to med school. Because of that, I went to Southeastern for night school while working in the ER, got an MBA degree, and that set me up to where I am now. I will tell you, I have tons of friends who are other physicians, extremely in debt, divorced multiple times, have a hard time seeing their kids. It is a very busy life. I do miss it. But the second best way to be able to help people besides their health is their finances and helping them do that. So I've been very blessed. I am finishing my second doctorate now in finance. I work at Southeastern University. If you guys ever want to see some local football, it is a blast. They literally have fire going up in the sky. Hit me up anytime if you guys want to go to any of those games. It is a blast, only $20. And take part, I'm on the board of directors working there. And we wrap up, oh, it's $10. I've been corrected, it's $10 for football tickets. So that is a deal, especially for collegiates, and they are amazing. They're actually really, really good. I work with Take Part on the board of directors. We are across from Mitchell's downtown. We go pretty much 3 times a year. I will be going again this summer. If any of you guys would like to go to Kenya, go on safari, do anything like that, please let me know. If you do not wish to do it, if you'd like to help, feel free to get in touch with me then too. All right, thank you guys very much. I think I made it.
Stories. We're going to have to hold our seasoned member until next time, Michelle. Thank you. Okay, 50-50, Kyle.